So it's just gone 1 o'clock, so I reckon we'll just get started. So you're all very welcome to this practice support information session. I'm joined today by Stephen Dowling, Senior Counsel and founder of TrialView. So today we're going to hear more about this TrialView, which is a digital dispute resolution solution and all of the benefits that sort of encompasses. So Stephen, you're very welcome today. Over to you.
Justin, thanks very much. Thank you all for joining in and for watching this particular session. My name is Stephen Dowling, as Justin indicated. I am a senior counsel and practicing at the Irish Bar for now, I think, approximately 20 odd years. And I am also founder of TrialView, which is a digital platform to allow lawyers, particularly litigation solicitors, prepare for court, primarily managing evidence and documentation, and also to ensure the smooth running of trials with the use of the latest technologies that are available. Just by way of background, because I think it contextualize things in terms of both where my involvement begins with TrialView and also the journey of the courts at the moment with respect to digital transformation. I've been primarily involved in civil and commercial litigation, and it's always been a passion of mine to try to improve the way we do things in terms of the preparation of documentation and also for the presentation of evidence during court hearings, which are often very challenging when it comes to any kind of complex piece of civil litigation. The coordination of the material, the preparation of the bundles, ensuring those documents can be prepared in a way that judges find them easy to navigate, and also in a way which allows the parties to easily bring to the attention of the court the material they need to bring to the attention with relative ease and also with minimum cost. And I think one of the problems we've been facing, certainly up to the pandemic and even since then, is as a profession, whenever the documentation gets anyway complex beyond 500 pages or 1,000 pages, managing that material in hard copy is challenging. Managing that material, even in digital copy, sometimes can be challenging. And coordinating that so that it's in the right format, it's in the right, it's arranged the right way for the judge and for counsel and for the running of a case with witnesses is a very time-consuming exercise. And some firms have the logistics and the resources to have an entire section or subsections devoted to that. Other firms don't have that. And it's always been my view that if we organize ourselves well from a digital perspective, it's actually quite easy to get the material right, so long as you've got the right tools available. So the background to TrialView is to allow, or the vision behind TrialView was in the very first place was to allow litigation solicitors in particular get their material ready very quickly and very easily for court, prepare those bundles in a way that barristers understand and that judges understand, and then allow that material to be simply presented in the courtroom itself in a digital way. Where we're currently at, and I'll come to TrialView's kind of broad sweep of functionality in a moment, but where we currently are at with the Irish courts, and this is something we're seeing around the world, is that the courts are now requiring more and more that bundles or documents be prepared in a digital format and submitted or filed into court. And often you'll see this happening in certain sections of the court system. So for example, within the Chancery Court now and the non-jury court, and also within the commercial list, there are specific practice directions around preparing bundles and getting documents ready digitally for court. And I think probably the latest update with respect to that is a new practice direction HC 113, where the commercial list judge, Mr. Justice Dennis MacDonald, has now indicated that when practitioners are submitting books to court, they're to submit those books in both hard copy format and in electronic copy format. And there are certain rules around how those electronic copies should be prepared. And that is just a sign of the times, because in my view, more and more counsel now want to get their books in some kind of digital form. And also as a practitioner, when I'm in court, regularly the judge wants to see a soft copy of the material. And getting that to the judge in such a way that the hard copy material and the soft copy material all coordinate and syncs up can actually be quite a challenge logistically. So what where I see the next few years going in terms of practice, both in the High Court, and I think it's going to come down to the Circuit Court as well, is that you're going to see a lot more requirements from the judiciary to get the material in to them in soft copy format, but in a way which remains accessible to them so that they could print it out, or that if hard copies are required in court, that those hard copies are coordinated with the soft copy. And in truth, that's one of the things that TrialView is designed to do. It's essentially designed to create a digital experience, but recognizing the realities that not everybody will be at the same level technologically. So often you may have counsel that want the material still in hard copy. You may have a junior counsel or solicitors who are happy to work off soft copy. You may have a judge who wants both material available digitally and the material available in hard copy. So the coordination of that is something which needs to be, I suppose, taken into account whenever you're creating bundles, so that whenever you are dealing in both types of medium between soft and hard, that it's all coordinated and presented in a way which is accessible. The core of TrialView is to achieve that. It sounds like a simple enough objective, but it does take a lot of thought to get it right, and to make it easy, really easy for practitioners to do that, and to do it very, very quickly. After that, TrialView provides additional functionality and capability to allow parties to collaborate when they prepare, to have a workspace, and I'll show this to you in a moment, in which they can coordinate the material, they can reorganize the material for their own purposes, for the purpose of a case, they can present the material digitally during the course of the case, and ultimately, if there's a remote hearing part to the hearing, TrialView facilitates that as well by integrating the video aspect alongside the document aspect. So what I propose to do is just to give you a little overview of that and how that platform works in practice. So I'm going to give a demonstration of the platform. I don't intend to dive into it too deeply, but just to give practitioners a sense of what this does. I should say that I'll just share my screen with you now. I should say that TrialView is currently being used across the board in various lists at the moment. It's being used a lot in the commercial list. It's being currently, there's a number of cases that are running at the moment using the TrialView platform. And when I say using the TrialView platform, it's being used essentially for document preparation and for evidence presentation during the course of the hearing, and for parties to follow the proceedings remotely and see the evidence as it's being presented, so that clients and witnesses who can't be in court every day can follow the proceedings digitally. So it does all that. And if you
we're seeing your Outlook at the moment.
Oh, apologies. Thank you, Justin.
I'm not sure I understand.
And there's my watch going off.
And if anyone would like to ask a question, we'll take it on the chat if anyone wants to. So yeah, we're now seeing that.
Now seeing TrialView. So you'll see in TrialView what we essentially create is a digital workspace. We create bundles for court, we do evidence presentation, and we do hearings. But each of these building blocks are separate kind of modules. They're all optional in the sense that you don't have to dive into the full package. Rather, these are pieces of the jigsaw which parties can use to get themselves ready for a court case. So what I want to do is I'll just show you the experience. So when you log into TrialView, what happens is you simply just sign in. When you log into TrialView, you'll see the case to which you've got access to. And the idea is simply to allow parties to really easily and quickly create the trial books they need for the purpose of the hearing. So here's a workspace, and this name of this case is Walker versus Austin Construction. It's just a standard case you might get in the High Court. I'm going to click into this workspace. And I just want to make sure, Justin, you can see that.
Yeah. So we can see a list of Peter Walker, Austin Construction, and then a list of his documents.
Great. Yeah. So the idea behind all this is to allow lawyers very quickly and easily get their documents ready. Whenever you have a case set up in TrialView, we have a standard set of trial bundles, which will be essentially containers into which the material can be uploaded. And depending on the nature of the case, which we determine from the record number, we can indicate very quickly the types of bundles you're going to need. So if it's a commercial court case, for example, we know the type of bundles that you'll need or sections that you need. If it's a medical negligence case, we've got different types of sections. If it's a personal injury case, we have different types of sections. So these are sections that are out of the box, ready to go for practitioners, and they can be entirely changed by you. They're entirely configurable, but it means that your team have a starting place. And into each section, you'll see the documentation is easily organized. So expert reports, correspondence, legal authorities. Essentially, each document is put up into the particular system, and a list of the documentation is available. To get the documents into the system, you just simply drag and drop the material from your local desktop computer or your local file system. And you'll see here, to view the documentation, all I need to do is double click on the document. And I'll go into the statement of claim, which comes up on the right-hand side. And it's very simple to navigate through those documents. It's very simple to go through them. It's very simple to create notes on those documents if you wish. And I'll come back to creating notes at a later stage. But essentially, the idea is to get the documents into the format that you would require for court, list them out 1 through to 21 or 55, whatever it might be. There's simple tools available to you where you can move the documents around. So for example, I could move this particular exhibit, if I wish, down to here. And I can move this particular order back up to here, get them in the right order, and then lock it down. And the idea then is when the documents are in the system, it automatically paginates all the documentation, as you can see, so that this has a special page reference numbering section. And that's critical because that means that once the document is given a special page number, that's the page number that will stay with that document throughout the lifetime of the hearing. So when the documents are referred to in the trial, everybody is literally on the same page. And to create then a bundle from that, there are 2 options. You can literally press this button here and click Merge Bundle, and essentially use the functionality of TrialView to create an index page and a consolidated document. And I create, as they say earlier, I created a document to that effect earlier on. I'm just going to pull that up. If you create any kind of bundle from the trial bundle section, then that particular bundle itself, which is consolidated into PDF form, is then available on TrialView. And you can download that document. You'll see there's an automatic index, and you can print that off. And I'll just open that document up in Adobe, which is on my desktop computer. There you can see the same document. It has an automatic index, has automatic page numbering. It has bookmarks on the left-hand side, and has automatic hyperlinks on this document, which bring you directly to the document in question. And the purpose of this, just to put it in context, it means that if the court requires you to submit PDF bundles, you have the ability to basically download this bundle and submit it to court. If the court requires hard copies, you can print this off. And the page numbering then that's on TrialView, A25, A29, that's now available to be searched wherever you are. So whether you're in the PDF version of the document, or whether you're on hard copy, or whether you're in the TrialView workspace, like back here, I can find any document by reference to the specific page number. So back in here in pleadings, if I look to page number 8, A8, I can find that very easily, and it brings it up straight away. And the idea behind that then is that you have a workspace in TrialView that completely is coordinated with any hard copies that are printed out for court and any PDFs that are being used. And the advantage of that is that it gives you great flexibility then during the course of the hearing. You can reorganize the documents in any way you want whilst maintaining the essential structure of the workspace. For example, and as is required by the commercial court now, you can create a core bundle, and into that core bundle, you can place certain documents. You can move them into that core bundle, and you can organize them in such a way that you will have a subset of documents for very specific reasons. And whenever you create a subset of those documents, the references will travel with that. So for example, if you wanted to create a book for the opening submissions, I can move documents into my opening submissions. And within that, then I can pull up all the documents that I want for the opening submissions. But because I have moved them from my trial bundle section, the references stay with them. So I will know at any stage, for example, if I refer to this document, it's an affidavit, Connor Matthews, I'll know that it's document A20 in the PDF bundle. I know it's document A20 in the hard copy that I've printed out. All of that then leads to a situation where everyone can be on the workspace, and what TrialView is often used for then is by the court, the judge, by the counsel. They're all the documents are constantly available to them, both prior to the hearing and during the hearing. And often actually what happens is people kind of begin to discard the hard copies and start to use TrialView's digital platform instead. And just to explain, if you take it a little bit further, you can also then present the documents live during the court hearing. So at the beginning of this, I showed you, if I pulled up a document, I could say, this is page A3. I can actually present that document to court. So during the hearing, if I press this particular button, that document will now be presented to anyone else who's logged into TrialView. And the way the judge, for example, will view that is they go to TrialView, they go to back to the home page, they click Evidence View, they will see any document that's being presented. So here the statement of claim is being presented and it comes up live in my laptop, and I can scroll through that document. I can take notes in that document. It's only when I stop interacting with that particular document will it come back to the place where the document's being presented. So this facilitates, and I'm conscious of time, but this facilitates a seamless presentation where you have the documents being presented live in court, and all you need for this to happen is a laptop and an internet connection. So right now, I think in court 2, we're conducting a trial, which is, I think it's in its 4th week, and the documents are being presented like this up on the court screens. There's actually screens in the court in a lot of the courts now, but most of the practitioners are on their laptops following the documents being presented. And as they're presented, people can take notes on those documents. They can highlight sections. They can create hyperlinks in the documents. They can search through them. The final piece of all this then is the video element. And with TrialView, we have an integrated video platform, which is often used for cases. And the simple idea behind that is you log into a hearing room. I'm just going to stop my video here on Zoom. You log into your hearing room. You join the hearing room. And there you'll see in the hearing room, what happens essentially is the document is presented alongside the video. So in this particular instance here, I'm now appearing on TrialView, but you'll see the document comes up side by side. So the same document experience appears alongside the video platform. And that enables then a lot of things to happen. It means that witnesses can follow the proceedings remotely. It means that your clients don't have to be there every single day. And the great thing now is with the courts around both in Dublin and also the courts on circuit have now got cameras installed, and they have technology available so that TrialView or PEXIP as the other platform that's used can be used very easily simply by asking the court in advance for remote access. And that generally is given. And that remote access then can facilitate both video interaction, whereby you can follow the proceedings remotely, but also you can see the documentation being presented alongside that. So you get the full experience without necessarily having to be in court every day. And that actually creates great advantages for practitioners, because it means that they can cut down a lot of cost in terms of travel time. It means for coordinating witnesses, you can tell your witness, well, we won't necessarily need you on day one, but you can follow the proceedings remotely from day one. And also you can facilitate your witnesses giving their evidence remotely if that's permitted by the court, which it usually is for less controversial witnesses. The final advantage of all of this is that because you have this workspace, it means that you can now collaborate then with your team, with your witnesses, with your clients. You can create special sections like private sections where you can create team bundles, and you can put documents into those bundles. You can create notes on documents. You can create highlights and hyperlinks on documents. And I'll just finish off by just showing you some of that functionality. For example, if I pull up a particular document that's stating the claim, I can go to any notes I previously created by just clicking on the note on the right-hand side. I can create a new note very easily by simply highlighting some text and adding a note. The final thing I can do is I can create hyperlinks between certain documents. So if, for example, I wanted to create a hyperlink between this text here where it discusses negotiations in July 2010. I can easily create a hyperlink which connects that text to the negotiations I'm referring to. And here what's relevant is this email, which I just clicked on there, and I've now moved directly to that email from that document. So it allows a very seamless transition between the document itself and the documents that are being referred to. So for expert reports or affidavits, you can just click to exhibits rather than having to actually separately open them. That also applies to transcripts as well. So it's also possible in the transcript, we provide a service where overnight, any documents that are actually referred to during the court hearing will then appear on the transcript by way of a link. So you can connect the transcript itself directly to the document that's being referred to during the course of the hearing, something which the judges often appreciate. So that's really it, an overview of the functionality. The primary, I suppose, entry point for TrialView is getting the documents ready for court, a simple way to bundle, simple way to create PDFs, a simple way to create, to print out your material. And then after that, there's layers where you can add functionality on. You can use TrialView to collaborate with your team, to prepare for the case, and ultimately to present the case for the duration of the trial. So, Justin, I think, is that sufficient in terms of...
That's great, yeah. We have a couple of minutes left, so if anyone wants to ask us a question, we'll take it on the chat, but otherwise we'll just have a general sort of just chat around it. I suppose my first question to you is, are all of these, the file format is a PDF?
You can throw up any document onto TrialView with any format type. There's very few format types it won't take in. So you could have emails, Excel sheets, you can have PDF, TIFFs and JPEGs, you can have videos, you can have audio files. All then can be put up in TrialView. When you actually then want to create a consolidated PDF and squish them all together or such, it converts them into PDF form, and it creates a cover sheet for that. So it's very flexible from that perspective.
And then just with regards to running a trial, is it like, does everybody need to use TrialView, or can you use your own system, or like how does it work? Is there a...
So we've had both situations. We have situations where one party's only used it and used it to prepare the books for court, and also to present documents in court, and the other party hasn't been involved. And we've had situations where all parties are coordinated. Generally speaking, it tends to be that all parties tend to do it at the same time. If you just have asynchronous and one person doing it, then what actually happens is that particular party can still present the documents to a screen or to a laptop to the judge, but also kind of printed out the documents using TrialView. It usually makes more sense in that context that that particular person happens to be the plaintiff or the applicant or the moving party, because they're usually the party that has the obligation to prepare the books for the court hearing.
So there's a question there, is may any member of the public view the case?
Yeah, the answer is yes, and so long as they're authorized by the court. So we have a separate public gallery section within TrialView, and once a member of the public has indicated, as they do anyway with any kind of remote hearing, has indicated that they want to view the case, then we give them access. But what they see is only the video aspect of the hearing. They don't see any of the documents in the workspace. They don't have access to those documents. So all they see essentially is the actual hearing taking place, and if permitted, they might be allowed to see the document as it's being presented, because that's what will come up on the court screens, but that depends on the specifics of the case. And then for other parties and other representatives, we can control access depending on your own requirements. So if you, for example, wanted to give a particular factual witness access only to a subset of the documentation, but not to the rest, we can control that and just create a subsection for them so they only see those documents, no other documents.
So in trying to understand how to use the tool better, is it me, the solicitor, who needs to become an expert in it, or is it my support staff, or a bit of both?
Depends on
how hard is that?
Depends on how much you muck in when you're doing trial prep. So we find that generally speaking, at the initial stages of a trial, it's the more junior staff who need to get their head around it. The paralegals, the junior associates, even the senior associates, because in the normal course, they're the ones who will create the trial index and they'd use these tools to get that ready. Then as you move into the trial phase, the more senior associates and partners in the firm would tend to then dip into TrialView with a view to reviewing the documentation, maybe seeing what documents are there, what else needs to be there. And then obviously when counsel get the papers, they can be given access to the papers just simply on TrialView. But at that stage, counsel will then need to familiarize themselves, not with uploading material as such, but more with how they mark material, how they maybe highlight documents they want to kind of keep separate or identify as being important. So actually, and then there's the judge who also has a separate interaction, and they have specific things that they like to know about in TrialView, but they won't need to know how to get the material up there. They just need to know how to navigate it, how to mark what's important, and how to keep documents that they need to review later on to put them in a separate section.
I know we're running up to just three or four more minutes, so I have a couple more questions. And I just want to understand, like, is it just for use in trial by large organizations, or does this have more practical uses for smaller firms, and how might they access it? And then if I could ask another question is, how do you see all this in the future? Because I don't see this going away. I think more automation, more digitization, like this is what's coming down the road.
Yeah. Firstly, to your first question, we certainly have had good traction, I suppose, with the bigger firms. But the truth is, actually, in all the big cases we've done, there's always been a smaller firm that's been involved. And actually, the feedback we're getting from the smaller firms is that it actually was a lifesaver for them, particularly in complex litigation, because they found it really easy just simply to get the documents straight up there. So they didn't have to have a big team to manage the material. A small team of 2 people, a junior solicitor and a paralegal, was sufficient to get a large volume of documents ready. So actually, I think platforms like this can level the playing field from that perspective, particularly if you don't require a big printing operation. If that's the case and you're moving to digital platforms, then this actually makes the smaller firms more nimble and actually be able to from an outlay perspective, be able to compete with the bigger firms, I would have thought. And that then leads into your other question, just
well, sorry, just can I jump in there because there's another question. Is the authorization specific to a person, to their email address?
Correct. Yes, it is. I see that question. That's a good question. It is. That's one of the security things we have in place. When you sign up to TrialView, we assign you, and TrialView can manage this to a specific case, and that access is specific to your email address. And therefore, your permission set and what you're allowed to see and what you're not allowed to see is limited to your email address. And we have security around that email address as well. So that is a very important part of that. And it means that you can't send the link as such to TrialView to anyone else. You can only send the only authorized people basically can get access. And I think just finally, Justin, how this is all going to play out. I think, in 3 or 4 years' time, I think hard copy will still be around. No doubt about it. But I think what will happen is people just will print what they need. They're just small subsections of the big database, of the big universe of documents. So that so long as those hard copies have the references on them and they can say to the judge, that's A55 or F22. So long as those references are in place and you have a bigger system coordinating all that material, I think everything will go digital. And I think one of the key parts of that is the ability to present the material so that everyone can just see what's going on their laptop. It comes up on screen for them and they can interact with it on their laptop. And with court technology now, and most courts are getting screens in and they're getting cameras in that facilitate all of this. My view is that we're going to be largely living in a digital world in about 3 years' time or 4 years' time.
And just lastly there, we're just out of time, but does the solicitor participate remotely? Yeah,
the solicitor can absolutely participate remotely. With this system, so I'll give you an example. There's a case running right now in court 2, in the commercial court. We have a number of parties in court, counsel are in court, but we also have solicitors who are watching the proceedings remotely. They're following the evidence remotely. And they're interacting with their team digitally. They're sending messages to their team. And they're getting the full experience because they can see the judge, they can see the witness, they can see their own counsel, and they can see the document being presented. And they can basically exchange messages about what's going on.
Brilliant. Listen, Stephen, we're out of time. Thanks very much for joining us today. A very informative session. All of our sessions are available on the Law Society YouTube channel. if somebody wants to view it. We'll be sending it out as a recording later in the week. Next week, I'm joined by Michelle Nolan and Sonia McEntee to talk about women in leadership and the mentoring program. So I hope you'll join us for that. Stephen, thanks again, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Sloan, agus gur mágad.